Hello everybody, Dylan here. Today on DHT, we are going to be doing a theory, a Sonic theory. Today's Sonic theory, we are going to be looking at Knuckles Chaotix, a game known for having a lot of playable characters. Well, what if I told you that there was actually going to be more playable characters that were removed? That's the topic of today's theory on DHT. Now, for those of you who do not know what Knuckles Chaotix is, it's a majorly underrated Sonic game released on the Sega 32X. This Sonic game is unique because Sonic isn't actually in it. Yeah, it's a spin-off game. In this game, you play as Knuckles and the Chaotix, and they are connected together using these rings. These rings use like a rubber band effect to launch the characters around. It's a very unique concept, and it's a very unique game. And for some reason, Sega hasn't re-released it. Well, originally this wasn't going to be a Knuckles or Chaotix game. Originally this was called Sonic Crackers, and Sonic Crackers was a prototype shown off to Sega which showed Sonic and Tails with the rings doing very similar things that would be seen in Knuckles Chaotix. So we can see that from the beginning, Sonic and Tails were meant to be the main characters of this game. It was just going to be your typical Sonic game. Now I know what you're thinking, Dylan, what if Sonic and Tails were just placeholders and they were never intended to be in the game to begin with, and it was just used to show Sega the concept of the game? Well, I have some more evidence to show you that this was going to be a Sonic and Tails game. First, we're going to look at the character Mighty the Armadillo. The only other appearance Mighty had was in Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, a Japanese arcade game. So he's a really obscure character. He's only appeared in a few select games. He's really unknown. Why would they put him in here? Why would they put him in with the Chaotix? Well, the answer is they needed to recycle Sonic's sprite. If you look at Mighty's sprites, including his idle animations, they are the same idle animations Sonic was going to have in the game. They literally took Sonic and recycled him into Mighty the Armadillo. That's the only reason why Mighty's here, is because he looks like Sonic. Why not just cut Sonic out altogether? Why recycle him into Mighty the Armadillo, you may be saying? Well, it's simple. Maybe this change happened all the way at the end of the game's development and they literally couldn't afford to cut out Sonic altogether. They couldn't afford to have less characters. They had to use the character slot. And you may be curious and say, well, what happened to Tails? Tails didn't get recycled. Maybe he was recycled into Charmy Bee. No, he wasn't recycled into Charmy Bee. He was just completely disregarded. If you go to the character select by accessing the debug menu, you can actually find what happened to Tails. And there's an interesting story to what they did with Tails' model. For some reason, they couldn't remove characters at all from this game. That's why they couldn't remove Sonic and they had to recycle him in the Mighty. Tails is the proof that this is what happened. When you try to access Tails by going to the debug and accessing the character menu, you will see XXXXX as a character option. Now, when you access this character, it shows a strange recolored Knuckles. This is what happened when they tried to get rid of Tails. They got rid of the sprite, but the character still existed, and it became a literal clone of Knuckles. Now, you may be saying, I did this, and he doesn't control like Tails, so this isn't Tails. Well, the thing is, they actually removed his momentum. It is there, though. There's an earlier release of the game, an earlier version of the game out online right now, where Knuckles can still fly around identically to Tails. He even gets tired and falls down to the ground, unlike Charmy Bee, who can just fly around any which way he wants to. So for some reason, Knuckles Chaotix literally made it to where you couldn't remove characters. So because they decided to scrap Sonic and Tails, they were stuck with them. They had to recycle Sonic into Mighty the Armadillo, and they had to recycle Tails into this weird Knuckles and push him deep into the game's coding. And yes, that means that this weird gray Knuckles is not an actual character. I know it's a little bit of a bummer, but this was not a character. The fans gave him a name, but that does not mean that he's official. He had no impact on the story. He was only hidden to cover up that Tails was even in the game. More proof that Sonic and Tails was in the game. If you get the good ending, Sonic and Tails appear in the tornado. So that's just yet again more remnants showing that this was going to be a Sonic game. Maybe that was going to be part of the original title screen before they changed Sonic to Mighty and just decided to remove remove them altogether. Now, the unanswered question, this is where the theory comes in at, is why would you remove Sonic and Tails from this game? Why would you remove Sonic the Hedgehog from a Sonic game? If this was called Sonic's Chaotix, then this would have got more people into buying the game. This could have helped raise the game's popularity. Why would you change it to Knuckles? Well, first of all, we have to look at when this game came out. This game came out when Sonic 3 and Knuckles was out. Knuckles was becoming a really popular character. More popular than Tails even at the time. He was just blowing up. He was so big at the time. So I can understand them putting it onto Knuckles to hold up the game's title in North America. But why remove Sonic and Tails? I have a theory. The theory is Sega didn't know that the 32X was gonna do well. They didn't want to risk ruining Sonic's reputation, because at the time, Sonic didn't have bad games attached to him. I know it's ironic, but Sega couldn't afford Sonic having a bad or mediocre game. This is the guy to compete with Mario. Mario doesn't have mediocre games. Sonic has to be saved for the best titles. That's just the quality control Sega had back then. So they had to get rid of these characters because they couldn't risk ruining Sonic's image. So yeah, that's what I think happened. Sega was unsure how this game would do, and they just didn't want to take any risk. They were on top at the time, and that just seemed too dangerous for them to do. Now, can this story have a happy ending? Yes. If Sega chooses to do like they did with Sonic 1 and 2 and CD and do a remaster, then we could get Sonic and Tails back. Putting Mighty the Armadillo back to being Sonic isn't hard, and we could still have Mighty and just add Sonic as well. Hell, the sprites for Sonic was already made for the game, so just reuse those. I know Sega still has them, and I'm sure that they were going to use some sprite of Tails, so that's already there as well. And what about this gray echidna? I say leave him out. You might be able to put him as an Easter egg, but he really doesn't do anything, and it would kind of ruin Knuckles' uniqueness of being the last echidna. That's something we gotta remember. There is no more echidnas in the video games, only Knuckles. So this gray and red guy, no matter how cool he looks, just can't happen. It's just something we have to give up on. So yeah, hopefully you learned some new stuff about Knuckles Chaotix today, and I hope you guys really liked this video. If you did like this video, then hit the like button. If you really like this video, then hit the share button, and if you want to see more content like this, then subscribe. I have a Patreon. You can go donate to that if you want to. You'll be mentioned as a producer in my videos, and it would really help me out because with the ad crisis, I haven't been making as much as I usually do. So if you want to help me out, you can go over there. It's never forced. It's just something you can do if you want to. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and bye.